Sweet. So we're good to go.
Yep.
All right, sweet. So this is going to be our 2023-2024 NFL Who's the Best Gambler contest that we came up with. Um, I don't think you could really do a full season one without having like a little bit of a futures mixed in, kind of like some. I look at it like life tokens when you get to the end of the game of life and you can flip over your tokens and see who has some left in the bank. Um, I think it's going to kind of serve two purposes. The one I just kind of mentioned, and then the other one is to kind of start feeling out where everyone else is at, where people are thinking about putting their bets for the rest of the year, so that we can kind of, when we start picking and it starts growing towards the end of the year, uh, we'll have an understanding of that, so we're not just coming in here blind. Um, so we're going to pick four team futures, four player futures, and then we're going to bounce into week one. When we get to week one, we'll lay out the rules of how it's going to work as we progress and build into the season. Um, and because it's the week one, week zero, I think we'll do snake draft. So we'll randomize it, and we'll just do snake draft. Next week, it'll be round robin based off who won the previous week on percentages. And if it's tied, because we're all going to have two picks, and there's a chance that there could be some ties there, it'll go based off units. So whoever has the most units, if there's a tie. Um, are there any questions about that?
Nope.
Oh,
Okay. Do you think we should introduce ourselves? Do you think people are gonna? I mean, I don't think
However
anyone's gonna
many.
watch that isn't us, but
I don't know.
um, all right, fine. I'll start off. I'll introduce myself. My name's Connor. Um, Kind of in succession, I guess the way I would like my life in general is like mathematician, sailor, and then analyst, um, and now instructor. I kind of view myself, my betting style is I like to consider myself an overs hunter. Hate betting unders, hate picking games I'm not going to watch. So I'm rarely ever going to pick the under unless I'm like hate a team. I'm a pretty big homer. I like betting on things that I want to also see happen, which is unfortunate. I don't think that's how you make money, but it's not always about that.
Especially if you're betting for the Redskins or
Yeah,
Commanders.
especially well.
Sorry.
So when I did my picks for the futures, I have two columns. One called homers, which is what I'd like to see happen, and one that I actually think is going to happen. That's probably how I'll do it. Um, but that's pretty much me. And just to go in alphabetical order, we'll pass it over to Jamie next. So go ahead.
I don't even know how to describe myself. I'm all over the place. I would say I'm a world traveler. I work at IBM, and I would say my betting style is the long shot. I love the underdogs. I want to see some crazy stuff happen, and I develop opinions based on certain players, and they may not always be good opinions, but that's the way I'm going to go. I want to see some crazy stuff. I don't want to pick the average or the favorite every time. So there's definitely going to be some wild picks from me. Uh, so looking forward to the season and throwing those picks out.
Cool.
Nice. I love it. All right. Pass it over to Stone.
Uh, don't got much to add to that, I guess. I'm Stone, Sailor as well. For my betting style, I would say kind of like how Jamie said, I do like to go for some crazy picks, especially like some like crazy like 4 or 5 leg parlays, trying to hit a big win. But this will be the first season that I'm taking betting a lot more seriously and actually looking for some good lines and stuff. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think this year actually keeping track of it will be interesting. I know last year I got smacked around, and so I'm trying to get a comeback this year. But
Redemption arc, right?
yeah, kind of redemption year.
seems like you've been
So
getting beat down for as long as I've known you. So
I've been getting beat down pretty. Yeah, there's not a lot of winning. But
Constant optimism.
well, we're gonna find out for real this year. So because now all the picks are actually out there. So anyway, I appreciate you guys introducing yourself. So now I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna do the random. Probably just do it one time, and whatever pops up, pops up. Um, and we'll move on from there. Is there any complaints about that?
nope. I think
All right.
especially with these, it'll be really hard for us to like be going for the same lines anyway. So
I don't think that's going to be an issue for these. There's so many of them. So randomize, and we got Stone, Connor, Jamie in that order, and we'll do it on a snake since there's not really a first place right now um, until we get all the way through, and then I'll kind of document everything in our spreadsheet as we go. So
are we doing teams or players first?
let's see how the score sheet is set up with teams or games. So we'll start with that.
All right. Well, I'll start off with my first one. I have the New Orleans Saints winning the division. The line is at plus 105. I think I think the NFC South in general is just a really, really bad division, and I think the Saints are the best opportunity to take that division, especially with Derek Carr, experienced quarterback, compared to what they're facing in the rest of the division.
Love it.
I also had that one. You know, when you
Ooh,
play Ryan Tannehill as
yeah.
your, you know,
Dang, you
that's
had that
what.
one. That's not one that I
Yeah,
had, but that's a good
I
one.
like it. I
So
like
you
it. I
get
like it.
plus 105 on that stone.
Yep. On DraftKings
Okay.
at least.
All right. So I think I got that one documented. We'll go back to me. Um, this is one that I'll probably regret, but I believe this passionately here that I'm going to take the Packers under 7.5. So I I don't believe in Jordan Love. Did never believe in Jordan Love. Thought they should have drafted someone else for Aaron Rodgers. And then if you just go from last year, they scored 21.9 points a game. They gave up 21.8 points a game. And then you lost Hall of Fame quarterback, wide receiver one, tight end one, wide receiver three. There is no way. And they were 8-9. So I don't think they go 8-9 again. The number I'm getting on that because it's not really a favorable pick is plus 120. Um, so I know I just spent 3 minutes talking about how I only pick overs and the first one is an under. That's going to be an
I was,
outlier.
I was about to get you for that. Yeah.
Uh, that's where I'm at with that. I got plus 120 on that. I
You don't
think that's
think
a
Green Bay will get 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in a row?
no. That was another thing in my notes. They haven't had a non-Hall of Fame quarterback since for like 20, 30 years.
Probably the
It's like that.
90s or some shit.
Welcome back to everyone else's situation, and I think you're gonna. I think there's an opportunity for it to go south real quick, and it to look really really bad in Green Bay. Even they do play a very easy schedule though, so uh, that would be devil's advocate on the pick. But that's it. That's my 30 seconds. All right, Jamie, what's your first pick?
I'm going to go with an easy one. Just like you, I'm a little hypocrite. This isn't going to be an underdog. I'm going to go with the Jags over 9.5 wins. I mean, I think should be one of the easiest picks out there. They play the Titans, who, Ryan Tannehill as your biggest competition in your division. You're going to win a bunch of games. They play the Colts. They're terrible. So I just think you have 6 games out there which are easily winnable for your division. Their out of division competition isn't the greatest either. So, I'm taking them over 9.5 wins, and I think that's fairly easy. The odds on that is minus 140. So I think the bettors agreed with me where this is an easier pick.
I mean,
And then, yeah, go ahead.
as a
I had
resident Jags fan, I have to agree with your pick.
yeah, I had that as my number two. That was like I
That's
just hate the Packers, and then yeah, but yeah, that's a good pick. So uh, anyway, it's back to you for the snake draft. So you kind of get to pick two out of the first four. So let us have it.
Yeah. So my next one, I'm going to go with the Jets winning the AFC East. Here's my underdog a little bit. We have Buffalo in there, but I think Aaron Rodgers with his weapons, he's got 2 good running backs. He's got Garrett Wilson, a wide receiver, and that defense looks to be good. And, I view this as a Brett Favre in Minnesota type of next move, not a Brett Favre in the Jets. I think this is going to be, you have a good quarterback, you have a good running back, you got good wide receivers, you got a good defense. The division's a little tough, but I don't. The Patriots aren't that great. Buffalo, I think their defense has regressed. So I think the Jets have an opportunity. I think Aaron Rodgers can lead them there.
What number did you get on that, Jamie, for your odds?
Plus 270.
Damn.
Ooh, that is a big one.
Yeah, they love Buffalo, but that's
Yeah.
my underdog.
I like it. I like the pick. I had them down here for something else. Just to make the playoffs are 130 minus 135. And I felt way safer about that. But anyway, I'm going to go a different direction with this. And this isn't my number 2 necessarily, but I got the Cardinals right now with the worst record for minus 110. They have, and you can pretty much grab that excuse me, on any book right now. They are certainly far and ahead of everyone else. I think their over under was like 3.5 wins. They were second to last. They're second to worst last year. I don't think we see Kyler. They just traded Isaiah Simmons, which he got playing time for him. It's not like he's a nobody. Traded their starting left tackle. It's not like he's a nobody. We thought as a Commanders fans we're going to see Colt McCoy back in DC again. First, no, they brought in Josh Dobbs. He's been there a week, and they're just going to throw him out there. There's just no way. It could be the end of Kyler Murray's career. That sounds exaggerated in a way, but it looks like they're going to try to get Caleb Williams. And I don't like any of the moves they're making. And then I saw this like small little clip from a press conference that their coach had about like, did you take the bus to work today? Who cares? You were the worst team. Like, who cares? So I got them as the worst record, and I got that for minus 110. And that's my next pick. So now we'll go back.
You got to tank. Kyler's out those first couple games. You got to really push it down hard because if you win any of those games, he comes back. Everybody's going to be pushing you to win instead of just outright.
I do think Kyler will come back because especially if they are trying to get Caleb Williams, Kyler needs to go out there and kind of show like another team that he's worth something, right? So I think Kyler will
week
play.
17, week 16.
I don't know. I think he'll be back by like the pup's like 6 weeks or something. I think he'll be back like week 7 or something. But I still think they'll be terrible. But Kyler will win them a couple games for sure. All right, I guess up to my next pick. Speaking of dumpster fires, I'm taking the Colts to go under 6.5 wins at plus 100. I just think the whole Jonathan Taylor situation, rookie quarterback, brand new coach. I'm not a huge fan of what's going on over there, so I also have Jonathan Taylor on my fantasy team, so just gotta hate on the Colts a little bit. And I think 6.5 wins seems like a lot for a team with a rookie quarterback who historically don't perform well. So, yep. And then I guess it's coming back to me again for the snake. This one kind of seemed crazy to me. I'm taking Buffalo to win their division at plus 120. I feel like that's easy money. Josh Allen's a stud. The Jets, I like the Jets a lot this year, but I still think Buffalo's got that division locked down. So,
all right, we got a head-to-head.
Yep.
I was going to be interesting.
I didn't think we were going to have our first head-to-head.
I do. I like the Jets a lot. I like Aaron Rodgers. I like Garrett Wilson. I like all of them, but I just think over the season, I think Jets will make the playoffs and be contenders, but I just think Buffalo's too good.
I like it. I like having the head-to-head too. I'm gonna keep my eye on it all year because that's just what we're gonna do. Sweet. So I guess it's coming back to me then, and I'm gonna do it because this is what I do. I'm taking the Commanders over 6.5. I think 6.5 is low. I think they have a very challenging schedule. That division is probably a couple years ago they were the worst division. I think now this year they're going to be one of the best divisions, and it's a challenging schedule. But they've won 7 or more games 7 out of the last 8 years, and this is not as bad as some of those teams were that got to 7. So Commanders, and I got that for plus 105. So over 6.5 and 105. So that's my next pick. I really thought Jamie was going to make that his first pick, and I was worried, but I got it all the way down here.
Well, that was going to be my third pick, but yeah, gotta go Homer right off the bat, especially if that's in your little bio. So,
There, yeah, I'm going to hang on to that one. All right, so back to Jamie for your last two picks.
all right. So the first one going to be the Bengals over 10.5 wins at minus 130. I mean, if you just look at their schedule, it's littered with teams that should stink. And they got the Rams, you got the Texans, you got the Colts out of their conference. I don't particularly think the Browns are going to be good. I think at the beginning of the season they very well could be 4-1. They play the Browns immediately, then they play the Ravens, Rams, and then the Titans and the Cardinals after that. So they could be 5-1. I just think it's a quality team. Joey B's looking to be ready for game one, and I think they might have lost a little talent on defense, but I think Jamar Chase in that offense, takes them over the hump for at least 11 wins.
You're not worried about Joe Burrow having a KD situation, or his cap train turns into just a torn Achilles?
No, medicine's got too good. I mean, just think about Tom Brady and some of the quarterbacks that have suffered some of these knee injuries. They came back. It's getting better and better. Though players I worry about are the skill positions. I'm looking at Cooper Kupp right here. Knee injury that you rely on that knee, and that leads to a hamstring or a Achilles. But if you're standing in the pocket, Joey B he's not a rusher. He might scramble a little bit, but I don't think it's going to lead to a catastrophic failure in his leg.
Yeah, I mean Joe Burrow's not out there like KD is, man.
I mean that was a heck of a comparison.
I don't know. That's what I've been thinking about. All right, so that you just said 10.5 on that, right?
Yep, 10.5, and the odds are minus 130.
All right, so I got that one. So this will be your last one for this category.
The last one, I'm going to go with the champs, and my opinion is always don't bet against the best player in the game. I'm going to go with Kansas City to win the championship. They're at plus 600. Travis Kelce's health throws this into question, but I'm going to lean on that. He's been a stud last couple of years, staying healthy. He's only missed, I think, 3 games over his entire career or something crazy like that. So I think for extension knee, he might miss a couple games, but he comes back rested, and KC wins the title.
What number did you get on that? What kind of odds did you get on that?
600.
Have that in your back pocket for the whole season. That's nice.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it. So I have a couple interesting ones written down here. And I think the direction I'm going to go with this is I got the Falcons under 8.5 at plus 115. Last year they won 7 games. They have Ritter down for some season props with like 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That does not sound like a 9-win team to me. Like that just doesn't. I everyone's kind of high on Bijan Robinson. I'm really not. They already had a 1,000-yard rusher. Like so that was an asset to them, and both of them can't play at the same time. I'm not nuts about the Falcons. I worry that they would if they were close, that they would make a trade for a quarterback, that you could see them with a different quarterback at the end of the year. I know that doesn't really happen in the NFL. That would worry me. But I'm not nuts about the Falcons. I'm going under 8.5 on that.
Kyler Murray might be a Falcon at the end of the season.
Kyler Murray, I mean, you could see the fight. I mean, everyone's talking about Kirk because he's on his last end of his deal. I'm seriously worried that if they're close to the division, they just move. So that would be, but plus 115 is good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, I like Bijan a lot. I think when they draft a dude that high in single digits, like you're gonna use him. I think he's gonna crush it. Tyler
Yeah.
Algier, he was good for them last year, but there's no way Bijan's not getting like at least 65% of the touches out of the backfield, if not more.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a stud, but you look at the Giants, Saquon has had some good years and he was a top pick, but that has not affected their win total at all.
That's
It's
true.
all about the QB. It's all about Daniel Jones. How's Daniel Jones play? That's going to be how does Desmond Ritter play? And I think they're going to limit him. They're going to run the ball a bunch. And like you said, in today's NFL, you don't win 10 games running the ball 400 times. You just can't do it.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off that for just a second. I don't think they have a place where they could go down a touchdown or two in the first half and make a comeback.
I think
I don't see
they're I think they're relying a lot on their defense, which was much improved last year. And I think they're relying a lot that their defense is gonna keep them in games, and then they're just gonna use the running game late in the games. That's their game plan? I'm thinking, but that relies totally on Desmond Ritter not throwing a few picks here and there.
Yeah. So Stone with the last one for the team. So go ahead.
All right, for the last pick, I'm gonna have Minnesota making the playoffs at plus 115. I think for a team that was 13-4 last year, I think they're not even favorites to win the division. They're like plus 200 something to win the division, which seems a little crazy to me. Even if they were, the record was a little fake last year. I still think they're an excellent team. They have Kirk Cousins, good veteran quarterback. He's always performed for them. Justin Jefferson, best receiver in the league. And they drafted Jordan Addison. It's going to be a stud receiver. And then they got Alexander Madison in the backfield, too. Slight downgrade to Dalvin Cook, but I still think they're going to be a really good team. The only question really is their defense, but I think winning 13 games last year, just making the playoffs at plus 115 seems like good odds to me. So
Yeah, my book had that at plus 110. So if you can get it at plus 115, I know it's only 5%, but I like it. I had that as one of my playoff numbers here.
Vegas is looking at all those single-digit wins. That's what they're looking at, flipping. Regression to the mean, Mr. Mathematician.
Well, I believe in Kirk. I pretty much drafted him in every fantasy league.
He's good at fantasy, but that doesn't mean the reason there were so many one-score games is because they got up. They couldn't stay up.
yeah.
I like him so much that I actually told someone I wish I had a Kirk Cousins Washington jersey from like years ago, but that wasn't the move. It was RG3 was the move at the time. Everyone had RG3 jerseys. But anyway, I digress. Does anyone have any honorable mentions or anything they love that they didn't necessarily want to put on the card, but they are nuts about something that they just have to get off their chest?
I think I was looking at the Giants over 7.5. I think they have a good team, good coach, and Daniel Jones is really underrated, but I think that was at plus 100 or something. Other than that, I wasn't looking at too much else.
Yeah. Jamie, how about yourself?
Mine was all just piggybacking on the wins. I mean, I have the Jags as division champs. I have the Bengals as division champs. The only other thing, long shot 49ers to win the NFC. I got 380.
380. I like 380. I like Brock Purdy. I guess I found what I thought was interesting was I found this line. It was like win streak, longest win streak, and it was like over 3.5 win streak, and that the Lions, Ravens, and Dolphins each had minus 140 on the win streak. I just feel like if you took all three of those, you would win 2 out of 3. I mean, could be wrong about that, but I fell in love with the win streak thing.
Did you bet on the Ravens preseason win streak too?
No, I didn't. Of course, I bet on the Commanders. That's what I do. All right, so let's scroll down a little bit. So this will be for players. Do you guys want to re-random it, or you guys want to go in reverse order?
I mean,
What do you got?
I'm good either way.
yeah.
So what decision did
Let's
you
just, I mean, if we do, just re-random it.
re-random it? All right, so go back. Same alphabetical order, randomize, and now we got Jamie Stone Connor. So that worked out great. Totally different order. So sweet. We'll start out with Jamie. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a theme with my picks coming up. Calvin Ridley over 900.5 yards for the season, minus 110.
945, you said?
900.5. Excuse me.
900.5.
It's a weird one. Jack's offense should be great. The odds were minus 110. They got a good running back. And I think he's had 2 years off to heal up and to, just let his body vibe. He hasn't had the wear and tear a normal 28-year-old would. Last time he played a full season, he balled out. I think he had 1,300 yards. So, I think Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence takes another step this year. Like I said, they're playing no one good this year. A lot of bad secondaries. I just think Calvin Ridley's primed for a big year. And to that end, I have him on a couple of fantasy teams.
And you had, minus 115 for that? I didn't hear you. Sorry.
10.
110? Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. So, if my memory is correct, Stone, you're up next.
All right, I might be stealing this one from you, but I'm gonna do Jahan Dotson over 750.5 receiving yards at minus 115. I just think Dotson's second year breakout for wide receivers. That's when you see most wide receivers breaking out for their teams. I like him a lot for what I saw last year, and I think, especially with the Terry McLaurin health questions going into Week 1, I think he even has more opportunity to break out the season. And Sam Howell's hearing good things, so.
I like it. I had that on my list as my number one homer pick. Then I'm going to say keep it there for later, just in case I got to come back to it. So this is where I'm going to go with it, and maybe there's a theme coming here, but I got Dak over 11.5 interceptions. And I actually locked this in 2 weeks ago. I had 10.5 for even money, and it already moved up to 11.5. He had an interception. I got the numbers here. The last 3 years that McCarthy has called plays, he has called an average of 605 pass attempts. So let's say 600. All right. If you he had 3.8% of his passes were intercepted last year, that would be 18. Let's say he digressed to 3. That would be 16. If he digressed to 2, that would be 12. All of those numbers are over. All of those numbers are over 11.5. So I need him to really hit his career average is about 1.8. He goes slightly above that and it's over. I don't like Dak. I don't like the Cowboys. I'm going Dak over 11.5. And the number I have on that one is minus 105. So, yeah. Why are you trading for Trey Lance if you believe in your quarterback? That's where I'm at with that. Okay, so my next one is going back to a pick that I made earlier with the Falcons, and I'm gonna say Bijan Robinson under 1,125 rushing yards. That seems like an insane number. That would have put him like top 5 or top 10 in rushing last year or something like that. I'm just not into the Falcons this year, and I had to take a huge minus 125 to get that, which might be like the worst odds that we've picked so far. But yep, not nuts about Bijan this year. So those are my first two. The rest would probably be homer picks or fantasy picks, but that's what I got.
I mean, that's what most of mine are fantasy related.
Yeah.
Maybe not this one, but for my next one, I'm doing Tyler Higbee over 500.5 receiving yards at minus 110. I think with the questions around Cooper Kupp, I'm hearing people saying he could be out up to 6 weeks with the hamstring. So I think somebody's got to catch the ball there. They're going to be down a lot of games. Higbee got 100 targets last season. I just think somebody's going to catch it, and Higbee's going to be getting a piece of that. So I think 500 yards is very doable. He's done that. He did that last season, and he would have done it the season before as well if he didn't get hurt, I believe. So.
Did you get minus 115 on that as well?
110.
110.
I like that a lot.
I like that. I didn't think I
'Cause
didn't go
even
there.
if even if Cup comes back, there's always the risk of re-injury. I mean, it's
Yep.
already happened with his hamstring. Like we talked about Kevin Durant, the knee, the leg just fails.
Yep.
So soft tissue injuries are never good.
All right, Jamie, you got 2 picks in a row.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with someone I always like good offenses, Jahmyr Gibbs, and I'm gonna do a little special here. 1,025.5 rushing and receiving yards over. It's minus 125. They got David Montgomery from the Bears. I just don't see him lasting the full season as the starter. They drafted Gibbs high, and I think they're going to give him plenty of opportunity to, gain these yards. And like I said, it's a good offense. Amon St. Ra, they're going to spread the ball around, and I think it's going to give him more opportunities. I expect his, yards per carry, yards per reception to be high. I think he's going to be efficient in that Detroit offense.
Yep. I think the only thing with Gibbs, he might not get as many touchdowns, but you're doing yards. I think he's going to crush it in between the 20s. So I like it a lot.
Jamie, you said that was all-purpose yards?
I don't know if
Say that
that's
again.
specific all-purpose, or like we counting punt yards.
Well, okay, not specifically all-purpose, but he's not going to return.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a little.
I love that number. I think that's a great
It
number.
I
is,
think
but
that's great too. Yeah.
Great number. That's yeah.
yeah, his rushing total was 625. I mean, if you wanted to piece that out, 625.5 for his rushing. I think he did hit the over on that too. But that's not my second pick. I digress. Let's see what we got here. I'm gonna go. Actually, that's Pat Mahomes to lead the league in passing. I know this is not an underdog story by any means, but if Travis Kelce's out and Chris Jones, just from a sheer defensive perspective, they go from fourth best in pass rush win rate to fourth worst when he's off the field. So if they do not get a deal done with him, that defense is going to be on the field a lot, and I think Pat is going to have to pass a lot to keep them in the games. And one of the first games is going to be a shootout, and I think that's how it's going to be the rest of the season. I think they're going to have to lean on him heavily if they don't have Chris Jones and Travis Kelce.
And what number did you
And
want?
I think that's a big number. I think that was 275. Yeah, 275.
That sounds right. Yeah. I
All
like
right,
it.
back up to me, I guess.
Yep.
All right. For this next one, I'm doing another tight end. I'm doing Mark Andrews over 825.5 reception yards at plus 100. I just think Mark Andrews is the WR1 for that team. And I think Lamar loves him the most out of all the guys he's had. And I think he's just going to get a ton of targets. Last year, kind of write it off because of the injury and Lamar's injury. But the year before that, he crushed 1,000 yards. He was the tight end one in fantasy over Kelce, and Kelce was healthy the whole year. So I just think if Andrews is out there, if Lamar's out there, I think he's just going to crush 800 yards. And for plus 100, it's a slam dunk.
I like that one too. This is like the most fun one, right? This category because there's just so many you
Oh
can
yeah.
pick from.
Think Zay Jones is going to take anything away from that?
Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers will be the best wide receiver there, but I think it might take time, and I still think Andrews just too good to not get that many targets from Lamar. So, and they already have that chemistry. So, I do like Zay Flowers a lot, though.
I like that. I don't like Zay Flowers a lot. Um, the person I like a lot though as a rookie, which I'm going to make my next pick, is going to be Jordan Addison over 675 yards, and that is for minus 115. I think he seamlessly slides into. Now his name is escaping me. Thielen spot, and you don't even notice a difference. And I think You have the best wide receiver in the game who's going to get double coverage. You have huge tight end that's going to get some extra coverage. This is like your third option, and he's going to have some one-on-ones and some open space. I think he easily catches those. This line didn't come out until today in my book, which is kind of funny. I double checked before we started. What I was going to go with is that you can get him plus 240 to lead all rookies in receiving, and you can get him plus 220 to lead all rookies in receptions. So I'm probably going to sprinkle some of those for like a half unit, take a full unit on that, sprinkle those for half units each. Yeah, I love that pick. I think over 675 is low. But yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
I get Hawkinson is the tight end you're looking for, but yeah, obviously opposite Justin Jefferson is going to be just wide open.
Yeah, I had Hawkinson on my list here too, but I went with Addison instead. His number is a little bit lower. That's why. But I do have Hawkinson in a lot of fantasy drafts. I like him a lot.
Someone's got to be open. They're going to double team JJ for sure.
So this would be my last pick. And it pains me that I haven't chosen a commander yet. I had Jahan on this list. I thought I'd be able to sneak it. I actually didn't think Stone would be the one to take it. I thought Jamie would be the one to take it. But I got sniped on that. So I'm going to go with one that no one is going to agree with, and that is going to be Chase Young over 6.0 sacks. For what I have here is minus 120. I did a little bit, ran a couple numbers. So he's played in like 24 true games. He has 9 true sacks. If you like, that's like every third game is almost a sack, right? A little bit more than that. So if he plays a full slate, he's going to get 6.33, 6.5. The fact that you get a half sack, I think is kind of crazy, but the half sack I think is going to help out. I wrote this down a little while ago, and he's like injured, and it's not looking good. But he's my favorite player. I have his jersey. I'm gonna root for him and bet him to get a sack every single week, and I'm gonna take it here. And I'm gonna hope that it's also a contract year. I'm gonna hope he balls out and he's like the first big signing for the new owner group. But he could also be a bust. That's what the writers in DC are saying. Very torn about this, but I got to ride with it.
Well, speaking of contract years, I'll go into my next pick. I'm gonna do Saquon Barkley over 1,050.5 rushing yards. I think he's got something to prove. He's gonna try and go out there and get as many plays as he can to get paid for next year. He's on the 1 year deal with the Giants. I think every year he's played that he's been healthy, he's been over that 1,050 rushing yard mark. So I think if he stays healthy, he's got a point to prove. I think he'll come out swinging and get that over.
Did you get positive money on that, or did you
No,
get
that's
minus
minus 110.
minus 110? Sweet. And then for the last pick of this category for the futures, what do we got, Jamie?
We got to make it something special. I think you touched on it a little bit. I'm going to throw my first under out here. Dak Prescott under 4,000 passing yards, minus 125. They're going to run more than ever. And like I said, if they do stink and they need to pass, I think he's throwing picks. So I don't think he's getting those receiving yards. I don't think he's getting those passing yards for him. I think it's going to be low. I honestly think keep his passing attempts to a minimum. I think they're going to try to lean on the rushing attack, contrary to where the NFL is going this year. But he just doesn't have it.
What do you think about McCarthy saying that they want to pass more and he's the offensive coordinator again? You think did that play into your decision making here?
Not at all. I think this is all smoke and mirrors. They have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. You have a running back that averaged an outrageous yards per carry last year in limited attempts, but I think anyone could run behind that offensive line. If McCarthy does go out and pass more than he runs, I think he's done. you lean on the best parts of your team to win. I wouldn't say, the Falcons should go out and pass a bunch. That it's just not how you can't win like that. You gotta use your talent. They have some decent wide receivers, but I just don't think Dak sees the field that well. And I'm a homer too, so I'll say that. I just don't think over 4,000 yards. I don't think he's getting it there.
I like it. So that just last call for anything that stood out to you that you want to mention, but you maybe didn't want to put on the book. Anything you guys love that you're going to be playing independently, but it did make it on the top four.
I got a Lamar Jackson MVP. I forgot what odds, but they were pretty high. But I think the offensive coordinator, I think Lamar's going to crush it.
It's a good one.
Did you have anything, Jamie?
I had Aaron Rodgers over, I think, 3,950 yards. Just piggybacking on my picks, the Jets are going to do well. He's got to do well, and he has a ton of weapons. And I don't think he's going to sit there and let them run the ball a bunch. So I think he's going to be spraying it all over the field, including to his running backs. And I think he'll be dicing some people up. He's got a point to prove as well as Lamar.
I like that. The only one that stood out to me kind of goes back to a pick we already made. They had ETN at 950 yards rushing for plus 125. I think he's a 1,000-yard rusher. I know they got a guy to do the goal line work, but I expect this team to be winning a lot of games and to really, really lean on him in the fourth quarter. He's getting pretty, isn't he on his third year or so? So he's probably getting pretty close to the end of his rookie deal. I like him at 950. I would have picked a not all-purpose yards, but a receiving and rushing number for him as well. I think he steps up a little bit more this year. I think he had a crazy number, 1,700 yards combined in his last real year at Clemson with Trevor Lawrence. I just think he's going to hit that again. He's going to get pretty close. So that's all I got for that. Comments, questions, concerns before we move to week one?
Nope.
Sweet. So we got week one. Let me kind of explain how this will work. Hold on one second. Each of us are going to pick two from each category in a similar snake draft. If you get both of them right, or if you get a winning record, right? So you have to get both of them right. You'll get another pick next week in that category. That'll be the same rule as we move forward. That's how you'll kind of accrue more picks as the year goes on. But if you have more than two picks and you have a losing record, you lose a pick. So there will be a fluctuation. And I think it'll be interesting to see who gets hot in what categories, who's a better handicapper, who's better at picking the player props. And what I kind of foresee is that we'll probably, at some points, each of us will probably get maybe to 5 picks for a week or two, in one category or the other. The benefit of that is you just get those picks at the end, basically the end of the draft. So everyone stops picking, and the winner at the end of the year will have the most wins. That's how you'll get the most wins. Are there any questions about that?
Nope. Sounds good.
Maybe confusing. But I'm going to go back to random. I'm sorry, Jamie, what did you say?
No, I didn't have any.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to random. It's going to be in order, alphabetical order, randomize again, and it's still in alphabetical order. So that's the order we'll go in. I guess I'll go first. Let's see here. I wasn't as prepared for this one. There's a game that I loved, and it was in my notebook. Oh, yep. So I'm taking the Jags -5.
No, that was mine.
That's
Dude.
the easiest line of the
That was
week.
mine.
I just don't think the Colts got it. I didn't really love Anthony Richards in college. They don't have Jonathan Taylor. Sort of unproven wide receivers. I just don't like what the Colts are doing. I think they're setting themselves up for failure with their rookie coach. And I think the Jags just go in there and just bang them up and start the year off on the right note. So I got Jags -5, and I'm assuming that's -110. I'll follow up with the ones I have. Like I said, I left my notebook at work,
The
and I
Jags are -108.
Yeah,
108.
that's what
Perfect.
I had as well.
Oh, everybody had that? No.
Oh, yeah. -5, such a weird number for Vegas. I mean, that's an easy touchdown cover for.
Oh yeah.
I mean, their defense is not good either. So I don't know where they're getting. It's going to be a close game from.
I think probably just on the road, week 1. A lot of shit can happen, but I just don't see them getting
Yeah.
even close to that. So
I think
The
it's a
road
coming out
being,
party.
the road being worth like 2.5, 3, we push that to 8, which is like 7.5, which is over 1 touchdown.
yeah,
But
I
then
think a rookie
-5 is,
quarterback's first game.
yeah,
Yeah,
-5 in the scary
NFL
Jag.
defense. I mean,
Yeah, I like it. I like that pick a lot. I figured that was going to be a lot of people's first pick. Uh, I
was
bet you the
mine.
public answers that. No, I already forgot. Okay, Jamie, you're up next.
I'm going to steal your pick. I'm going to get Washington to cover the 7 versus the Cards. Again, you have a journeyman QB come in on 1 week of practice, an NFL defense that's had, the entire offseason prepare. -110 odds. Like I said, I think the Cardinals are just blatantly tanking. You might not think that. That's fine. McLaurin looks like he has an outside shot to play, even if he doesn't. Wide receivers are good. I think the offense is in good shape. I think you're going to see end little shot there play a big role. I think the defense feasts. I think our DBs got better. I don't think the Cardinals have anything to keep this close.
Yep.
I obviously had this one on my ticket, and so I did. The only thing I wanted to add to what everything you said was I worry with McLaurin and Chase Young that they're like, this team is not very good, and we don't have to rush these guys back. And I just hope that doesn't uh, affect the. I don't hope that doesn't. That might.
Maybe with Chase, but McLaurin, they've already learned from Curtis Samuel, man. I mean, we've
Yeah,
done this before.
yeah.
Keep the guy out.
I would have easily. I'm easily going to lay the 7 and bet that as well, but that was my only concern. What did you get -110 on that?
Yeah, -110.
All right, Stone, you're up, and you get to pick 2 in a row this week. So
That's it. Yeah.
maybe the only time that happens.
This will probably be a trend across the season for me, but I like to bet a lot on like the primetime games because I usually watch every one of those, so it gives me more incentive to watch and makes the game more enjoyable. So I think both of my picks are actually the same game this week. First one will be the Buffalo at New York Jets. I'm going over 46.5 at -110. I just think there's a lot of offense on both sides of the ball, and I think especially the Jets coming out week 1, they're going to want to show what they got. Aaron Rodgers want to prove that he's worth what they gave for him and show why he's still an MVP candidate. And then I also have the Jets on the money line winning that game at home. I think they have a good chance. There's a lot of hype. I think they want to live up to that hype, and I have them on the money line winning +120.
So I got +120 was the over -110,
Yeah, that's right.
and then I wasn't quick enough on the number,
It was
the actual.
46.5.
Oh man, that's a great number. That's not even 7 touchdowns.
Yep.
That's great. I like those picks. Are the Jets at home? Just a separate question.
Yeah, they are at home.
So they're gonna. Those are good. I like those picks. You only have to watch one game if you pick the same game.
True.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So Jamie, I think it goes back to you now.
So I spoke on this before, and I'm gonna go with an underdog here. I'm gonna do Detroit to cover 4.5 versus the Chiefs at the Chiefs. And that one is going to be they're at minus 110. I just think I've spoken this before. Chiefs fourth worst defensive pass rush win rate when Chris Jones is out. Doesn't look like that deal is getting done before the first week. And if it becomes a shootout and they don't have Travis Kelce either, Pat Mahomes might be a miracle worker, but I don't think he has enough to get over Detroit. Having all off season to prepare, having that offense roaring and ready to go.
Do you think you would have made this pick if Kelce was healthy? Do you think? I guess what I'm saying, I locked in one unit on 6.5 yesterday morning prior to him getting injured. Would you lay the 6? Would you take the 6.5 even if Kelce was healthy?
Probably yes.
Okay, you like it like that.
I think it's a shootout. I think it's going to be. I think it's a shootout. It's
I love
going to
it.
be a blowout.
Yep, I don't hate it.
Yep. So yeah, I locked that one in at 6.5 yesterday. It was actually an accident, and then luckily, and then this never happens, but Kelce hyperextended his knee somehow, and it dropped 2 points. I just won 2 points back, but
The
yeah,
headline I saw was Kelce, and then it said ACL, and I was like, oh no. But then they're like, we think the ACL is intact. But when I first glanced at it, I was like, Kelce ACL, and I was like freaking out. Would have
it
been
was
crazy.
weird because it was like hyperextended knee,
Yep.
and then they went hyperextended knee to someone wrote an article that says they think the ACL is intact. I
Yeah.
was like, that sounds way worse than hyperextended
Yeah.
knee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very scary for sure.
So I got the last pick. There's another game I was looking at that I liked a lot for the number, but like I said, I like the overs. I think this is a high number, but I'm gonna take over 51 with Miami at the Chargers, LAC. I just think both of the offenses have the capability to light it up. I think if you got to get what do you got to get 7 touchdowns and then a field goal, or more than 7 touchdowns and a field goal to get that does kind of scare me a little bit. But I'm gonna watch this game like just to like put 7 touchdowns and a field goal gets you past that. That's a lot. Been watching college football. They don't score like that, so I'm scared of it. But I just thinking back to last year, two offenses I love to watch, and they could both score a lot. I could see a high 20s to low 30s game, and me looking back on this and just being totally ecstatic that that was the game. I don't necessarily have the number. I'm going to assume it's minus 110. I'll double check on that. It might be 51.5 minus 110. I'll double check again. I just my notes are at work, and I'll just double check the book and update it. But yeah, that's what I got for the games. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun. All right. So we'll go down to player bets, and I will begrudgingly admit that I haven't looked at any of them because apparently they came out on DraftKings today, and I didn't look at any of them. So I'm really going to be shooting from the hip here. So I'm going to randomize the alphabetical order again. Sweet. This gives me a chance to actually look up some lines. But we got Jamie and then Stone and then myself. So we will go in that order. So go ahead whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I got a juicy one. I got Calvin Ridley over 62.5 yards for the first game. That's at minus 115. There's also an alternate of 75 plus yards, which I'll also bet, and that one's at plus 140.
Which one are you taking for this one?
I'll do the 62.5 just to stay safe at minus 115. But
that's your second Calvin Ridley pick of the day.
Yep.
So
he's got to start getting the yards sometime.
Yeah, I guess that is totally true.
And then I guess I'll be making my second Saquon Barkley pick of the day, except this time it'll be for reception yards. So I'm going for over 20.5 reception yards at minus 120. I think he'll crush that. He catches a lot of passes, especially if they're behind. He catches a lot of dump offs. Daniel Jones looks at him a lot. So I just think 20 and a half is really low. So
I like 20.5. I think that I like lines that can be achieved in one play.
exactly, yeah. You toss him a screen and he can go to the end zone. So
Um, so the first one I'm going to pick that I had in my notes, and I'm taking this from DraftKings, kind of on the fly. I'm taking Eckler in the game that I just said the over, um, and I'm also doing receiving. The receiving number on that was 32.5 for minus 120. I think that's certainly doable. Oh, excuse me, minus 120, and that was 32.5. I think that's doable if there's whether they're scoring or not. I think that has a total chance of happening. Um, it worries me he might be a little upset with the team, but the only way to get the money that you think you're earned is by continuing to produce. So I think that would be that's kind of how I'm going to go with that.
Not the Le'Veon Bell route where you sit out a whole year and waste your prime.
Sit out all year, gain a bunch of weight, hang out in Miami, go clubbing all the time, spend all your money. No, that's not the route.
hey, he still got paid, man.
Yeah.
Fair.
And
Did you get all of that money though?
Probably no, definitely not. But he still got
Right.
paid. So probably not as much as he would have if he just did the tag. But
okay, and then the other one I got here, which again, I'm a little bit shooting from the hip, but it kind of makes me think I'm going to make like a better choice uh, than I normally would, and I don't have it here in front of me. How about this? How about I'll let you guys pick twice, and then it'll come back to me.
all right.
That's what I get for not being prepared and leaving my stuff behind. So I think Stone, you're up again.
All right, so I'm going back to that Jets Buffalo game. I'm gonna have Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson scoring a touchdown at plus 135. I think him and Aaron Rodgers are gonna get that connection started early.
I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
love
That's
that.
a good one right
That's
there.
plus 135. I love that. I'm probably
Value
gonna.
right there. Good value.
All right, Jamie. Uh, whatever you want.
I'm gonna go with Brock Purdy over
Oh,
1.5 passing touchdowns at plus 120.
geez, that's a good one too.
Yeah, standard. Yeah, they're gonna win this game. It's a close one, but considering Pittsburgh's defense, but there's a variety of ways he can get the passing touchdown. With the shovel passes, with Christian McCaffrey just coming out the backfield. Debo Samuel. He has a ton of weapons, and all of them are available in the receiving game. So, 2 touchdowns I think are pretty easy.
George Kittle might be injured though, so
Questionable.
that dude's always hurt.
That just means that's fine. They always have one out of their
Yeah, I
big three
mean,
that's always hurt.
if you have McCaffrey, Debo, and Ayuk, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think he's fine no matter what.
So I don't love this pick, but it's all chalk. What this is chalk. This is absolute chalk. I'm taking Lawrence uh, over 1.5 TDs. And that number the reason it's chalk is because that number is something absolutely insane. Minus 130. So if I lose either one of these bets, I will be in the negative for units. For a week, oh excuse me. For week one. But
I think that's
I
pretty
just think they're
safe.
gonna score a lot. I worry that if they don't score, if he doesn't get the 2 touchdowns early, that they're gonna win and they're just gonna sit on the ball and run it. That would be my concern with that bet. I was gonna pick Addison. I was gonna go with an Addison, but his line wasn't out on there yet. This one seems just as good. It matches up with my other -5 bet. So I did notice that about most of our bets, we really doubled up. We didn't like diversify our portfolio much. Does that worry anybody?
Slightly, but I like I said, I'm
For
gonna
for
be doing a lot of primetime games. So
yeah. No, I think I'm happy with my picks. I mean, you lean on what you know. Good offenses score; they get you yards. So some of these are fairly straightforward, especially with these 1.5 touchdowns in the passing league. I think pretty easy to get.
might do a parlay with all these.
Yeah, so I built that functionality into the thing here. So what I'd call this is uh, best bets parlay of the week. All right. And so basically everyone's first pick parlay is really, that's what it kind of rhymes. Everybody's first pick got automatically populated into the first thing in the spreadsheet. And so we got Jags -5, Washington -7, and Buffalo Jets over 46.5. Those odds on all three of those things happening are plus 600. And then on the player side, we have Eckler over 32.5, Ridley over 62.5, Barkley over, give me 1 second, 20.5 receiving. All those odds, that's plus 528. Those are parlay. Those are good parlays. Um, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the last thing I want to do each week is I just wanted us each to pick a player that we think is going to score a touchdown. All right. And then I'll go in, I'll pull the odds out, and then that'll be an additional parlay. It's just for fun to see how many of these we can hit. It's more of a statistical representation than it is anything that we're going to kind of have credit for. But we'll just go. Doesn't matter what order we go in. Jamie, you got a player in mind that
Oh,
you.
absolutely a touchdown machine if I've ever seen one. Jamal Williams for the Saints. You got no Alvin Kamara, and that guy was a vulture at the goal line. If the
Yeah,
Saints get close, he's getting in.
I like it.
I'll go next. I think with Cooper Cup being out, I think Van Jefferson has a good chance of getting in the end zone.
Ooh, I like that. That's a wild one. The one I was gonna pick, um, and I'm kind of riding this on the fact that I think Terry McLaurin's not gonna play just because they're playing a bad team at home. Um, and I'm gonna go with Jahan with a touchdown. Yeah, I think he'll be wide receiver one for week one, and I expect him to kind of grab a touchdown. I'll get the odds for that and put it up there, and we'll see how many of those just randomly we can hit. For the rest of the year. I forgot to mention that, so that's why we were a little bit unprepared. That's on me. Um, Final thoughts? Anybody have any final thoughts before we sign out?
No, don't think so.
Looking forward to the season. I'm looking forward to stealing some of your guys' other bets to make myself richer. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
I have one thing here in my notes, and it was more of a like, I wonder if this will come up. I don't think we could have done this episode last year without talking at least one time about the Denver Broncos. And they were not brought up in one time. Not a single time did anyone mention, and I didn't want to spoil the beans. I wasn't going to talk about them because I'm not nuts about them. But how sour that whole thing got and how much money I lost on them last year. I just think it's funny that this year they're not even, no one is even talking about them.
I
So,
I just remember what they were on prime time like every single week, and I just remember watching them every single week. Just why am I
So
even
bad.
watching this game? Like I'd rather go to sleep than just continue watch Russell Wilson just stink it up.
yeah,
And I'm taking great happiness out of some of the quotes that are coming out from Sean Payton saying that he needs to stop caring about Russell Inc. and his stop kissing babies and all that jazz. Like, my God, the guy needs to get his head out of his butt, first
Yeah,
off. But I think he's washed, anyways. I mean, I don't think it was an athleticism last year. I mean, he was missing wide open dudes, and that's not that's nothing about practice or anything. I think that he's just getting old and he doesn't have it anymore.
I think Sean Payton, with some of the things he's saying, he's trying to like get ahead of them being terrible again. I think
Yeah.
blaming a lot, like, oh, I was handed a dumpster fire from the last coach or whatever. How can I have a lot of work to do to turn this team around. I think he's just trying to get ahead of them being terrible again. So that's my thoughts on that.
Agreed.
All right. Well, I think that means week 1 is in the books. I appreciate your guys' time today. I look forward to it every week. If you could just do me a favor, just send me a quick text with all the bets and the numbers you guys had. I know we talked about them and I could rewatch, but then I can just double check the spreadsheet real quick before Sunday. I know that we had some games in here. I think we picked some games, the Thursday night game. I just think we're going to have to fluctuate a little bit, and we might only be able to do Sunday slates from here on out, or like Sunday, Monday. But that's a totally separate thing. I think maybe if we get it in early enough, we'll do Thursday included. I just don't know that we'll always be able to do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's all good.
All right, that's it. Signing off. See you guys next week.